Assalamualaikum and good day to the evaluator. I'm Nurita Tujana binti Rosman with metric number 012021072011. So today I will present my poster that related to a title of accommodation facility and response time before and after gadget task of a varying duration in young adults age of 18 until 29 years old that living in Klang Valley area. So first of all, we need to know what is actually accommodation. So accommodation is related to a process that happen in our eyes that need to be maintained a clear image by change its focus in a varying distance. So there's a lot of accommodation types, and one of it is accommodation facilities. So accommodation facility is actually a measurement of flexibility, dynamics, and stamina of the accommodation. So accommodation in facility, it can be performed or can be tested in the clinical session, and it is necessary to be done in the patient with the symptomatic symptom. And since nowadays there is a lot of people spending more time in the gadget task, that might be have a high risk to have the accommodation problem, and it can be lead to the digital eye strain, or known as computer vision syndrome. So this study have the objective on perform the study, which are divided into two, which are general and specific. The general objective for this study is to determine the effects of time before and after gadget task in varying duration to the accommodation facility and respond in young adults of age 18 until 29 years old in Klang Valley area. And the specific objective divided into three components, which is the first one is we want to investigate or determine the prevalence of the accommodation in facility problem due to gadget task in varying duration in young adults in Klang Valley, Malaysia. And the second one is we want to investigate whether the gadget task consumption, it might be influenced by the age. And the third one is to determine the association of duration gadget time consumption with the accommodation facility in young adults. So there's two moving on to the next component, which is hypothesis, which are divided by two hypotheses, which are null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So for the null hypothesis, it might be no relationship between gadget task consumption in varying duration with the accommodation facility and response in young adults. And for the alternative hypothesis, there might be have the relationship between the gadget task consumption in varying duration with the accommodation facility and response in young adults. So moving on to the methodology for this study. So for this study, I will use the study design on the experimental study, which is the type of qualitative research. And this study might be having a duration in 6 months to perform accommodation facility test to each participant or each patient that get involved in this study. So my target and study population is related to young adults that age in range of 18 until 29 years old that living in Klang Valley area. So my study have some criteria that can be included and some criteria that cannot be included in this study, which are for the inclusion criteria. There is two inclusion, which are the participant might have the criteria of the gadget consumption in more than 1 hour at one time. So the second one, the participant need to have symptoms or without symptom experience within the gadgets consumption. So for the exclusion criteria, there are three exclusion criteria, which are the first one, I do the participant cannot have the drug consumption, the participant do not have the trauma history, and the participant cannot have the ocular or systemic disease. Since these all the criteria might be influence the accommodation problem and affect the accommodation process. So for the sampling method, I will use the quota sampling method in the non-probability sampling. So this actually, I want to measure whether each group of the category, the age, influence the accommodation in facility. For example, if one group might be 18 until 21 years old, second group might be 22 until 25 years old, and the third group might be 26 until 29 years old. So there is a three group for this study. So I want to measure whether this age of uh, the participant actually influence or affect the in-facility accommodation. So I will determine each group need to be total in involving the study lah. So and then um, for this study, I will use the instruments of flipper plus minus 2 diopter lens, and the second one I will use the near charts. So for the data collection, the first one I will get the demographic information or demographic details from the each participants, and the second one I will give the awareness on the accommodation problem to the uh, participants, and the third one is I will be perform the accommodation facility test to each participants in this study. And after I've done for this study, I will do the data analysis using the SPSS analysis 2.6 system, and I will use the inferential analysis, which is related to the correlation and chi-square and logistic regression. So for moving on to the expected outcome, so I expect that accommodation facility is reduced when the time consumption of the gadget is increased. So since they are having gadget consumption in the long time, it might be lose or weaken the accommodation process in their eye. So these are my references to this study, and that's all from me. Thank you.